So FC26 is right around the corner, and I, along with everyone watching this video, have ideas on how we want FC26 Career Mode to look in the new game. And I've already made wish lists and different videos featuring these ideas, but in this video I'm going to specifically talk about the concepts that I've made over the last couple of months for FC26 Career Mode. This video is basically, if EA hired me, how would I make the game look? How would I redesign it to make it the perfect football game? And I've got plenty of concepts to back this up, so I'm basically redesigning the menu and adding new features in. And seeing as my channel is basically based on the concepts that I've made and posted onto X over the last couple of years, I thought, you know what, it makes sense to make a video just specifically talking about them and breaking them down and all the different ideas that I've put into them. I've had other YouTubers look at my concepts and interpret them their own way and talk about them, so I want to make this video before FC26 is revealed. So without further ado, let's just go into the main menu here for FC26 Career Mode and basically how I would change it. So as you can see here, we've got the main menu. Now these were created a couple of months ago, so actually the text on the left hand side here with the notifications would actually be smaller in my opinion than what I've had it here. EA did update the game and make these smaller. They also added an option on the right hand side where you can toggle between social media and the league table. So I would actually implement these into this, but if we're going to look at the background here, for me this looks way better having the stadium as your background rather than a dull dark grey background that we have in career mode currently. I think this adds a load more personalization, and also it just adds a bit more colour to the background in my opinion. Apart from that, the whole design is pretty much the same here. You've got a few extra tabs at the top, which I will talk about as we go along. Also on the right hand side, I do like to put in these little Easter eggs and things that imply other features to be added into the game. As you can see here, we've got manager transfers. So Fabrizio Romano reporting that Sheffield United have approached Sean Dyche as their manager. So yeah, I like to put these little Easter eggs in. So I would love manager transfers and sackings and things as well. But let's go on to the next tab here, which is for the squad. So I've taken out the notification tab completely. I feel like that's pointless, just to be able to view it in the main screen. But here we've got the squad. So this hasn't changed too much. As you can see, I've gotten rid of the long tiles that EA have added this time in career mode, because it's just annoying scrolling all the way to the end to access certain parts of the menu. So I've just put everything on one page here. It just makes more sense. As you can see here, team management, team sheets, team strategy, squad hub, they're all the same. Tomiyasu here, obviously this is an old concept, so he's obviously left Arsenal. But also here I've got start and player chat. This is an option where instead of the player coming to you, asking for more game time or to be rested, you can actually approach them and discuss different things. Going over to the next tab, which is a new one that I've created specifically for training, just because there was a few new features I wanted to add in regarding training, so I thought it made sense to create another tab. So the training plan, development plans, and the coaching stuff, that's all going to be the same as it has been in FC25. So we have got two new tabs here. So one of them is to add the practice arena into career mode. I don't get why we can't just have like practice games within our squad, just in the training ground, like 11 versus 11, or practice set pieces, penalties, free kicks, whatever it is. I feel like that should be something that should be easy for EA to add. I've also put in here extra sessions. This is basically the old training system that we had in previous games, but this is just to go alongside what we've got currently. Basically what you can do is pay for an extra coach to be at the club, and he'll basically work through specific training plans with players behind the scenes. So if you've got a young player who's maybe not getting into the team much and you want to develop them, you can develop their attributes specifically here. This just means that you have to pay extra wages to another coach, and also it means that the player is going to be more tired. So if you're going to be playing someone and then also putting them through extra training sessions, this is going to mean that they're going to be really struggling on their fitness. So there should be like a balance there with this. Next up, we're going to go to the transfer side of things, which all the tabs are the same as to what we have currently. You've got the transfer hub here. You can see all the different deals that are currently going on. You've got the search filter here, but with this, you should be able to search for clubs and managers as well. So you can search for like which managers are going to which clubs. Also with the clubs, you can see like their historical finishes, like the trophies that they've got. Just a quicker way to check up on what's going on in your save. We got the scout reports, which again is like what we've got in the game. Another Easter egg I put in are two players that aren't in FC25, in Kamada and Lauren. Also Kobe Mainoo's in there. I have put the actual real life market values because they should reflect real life. They're not realistic in the game. Kobe Mainoo's not worth this in the game, but these should be inflated like they are in real life. So that's why I've put these players in. Scouting instructions, so you can like obviously scout different nations. That's not really changed, and then the transfer history as well. Again, you can see like with the backgrounds, they're constantly changing with the stadiums as the clubs are changing. In the office side of things, here we've got staff and facilities. So this is where you can upgrade not only your coaches in the training section, but you can also improve like maybe the gym at your club, like the physios. Maybe you have like some mental health counsellors there for the mentality of the players. Also like the training ground, like all the things that you can improve in real life to add to boost your team. That should be something that you can upgrade or downgrade in the game. So you have to weigh up whether the on-field results or more finances are more important. This is already in pro clubs basically. So yeah, this is like something that would be cool to be added in. Club finances is something that I've put more depth into here. So as you can see, you've got the weekly budget and the transfer budget. I think it's way easier to track when it's like this. You can actually see what your transfer budget started as and what it is currently, so you can kind of gauge how much money you're spending. Also, you've got here in the writing, check up on the incoming and outgoing transactions at your club. Also, you can see your FFP status, adjust your budget and be able to negotiate extra funds. So request of funds is something that I'd like to see added back into the game. Along with financial fair play, PSR, I know they're really boring and things, but I think that extra challenge and realism would be good in the game. So I've implied that in this concept. Browse jobs, I feel like you should be able to browse any job in the world and apply for it. Even if a team's got a manager, you should be able to view any job in the world and basically apply if you want. Also, even with teams that don't have open vacancies, you should be able to see like how under pressure that manager is. If a manager's on the brink of being sacked, you might be able to kind of put your interest out there and kind of get the ball rolling in case that vacancy comes up. So I feel like, yeah, you should be able to view the job market a lot better than what you can in career mode currently. You also have your own contract, so you sign it with the club, you can negotiate it yourself and you're basically tied to that contract. You can also run it down and become unemployed as well. So I'm going to show a concept now where you can be unemployed in the game like Jurgen Klopp is in real life. With this, you can just simulate through the world of football, see what's going on and wait for the right job offer to come up. Obviously your board objectives and confidence will be there as well, and also your career, where you can look back on your trophy cabinet, you can look back on everything that you've done in your career, all the teams you've managed and what you achieved. Next up in the season section, you've got the calendar where you can look back through all your different fixtures. I also think you should be able to view past seasons and look through old fixtures, maybe even look into specific games and look who scored, which players played, what happened in that match, just to reminisce of different things that happened in your career. Again, you can search for anything within your save here. Competition standings, player stats and team stats, they're all the same here. Club histories, this is basically where you can look through the club that you're managing and see how many trophies they've won, like their historic league finishes, who's scored like the most goals in their club, basically records that you as a manager or a player can break. So it gives you something to like aim for. If you've seen that a club's never won a certain trophy, when you win it in the game, it will feel like that bit more rewarding. So it basically just gives you a bit of history and education about the club that you're managing. It'll just make it easier for you to get immersed in that manager role. And next up, I got world rankings. International football needs to be fixed in general, and I think world rankings would be nice to check up, especially if you're an international manager, seeing how your nation's going up and down the rankings. And here we got a section for the academy. So you've got your youth squad here, where I think you should get one for under 21, under 19s and under 17s, at least like a full squad. I feel like 16 players in one academy, that just doesn't happen. So I want to see more players. As you can see here, Jacob Wright, this was for Man City before he left. You should be able to move players into the youth academy at your own will. So with youth players, if you want to promote them out of the academy to play in like a one-off game, you should be able to do it, but then put them back in the academy to play youth games. I feel like that should be something that should be in the game. As you can see here, play youth match. So you've got the Premier League 2 here. This is basically like Rush, like where you've got fixtures, but instead of cup competitions happening every month, it's just a league. I feel like that should be in the game. Even if it's just the teams that are in the league that you're in for your senior team and it's just their academies, it doesn't necessarily have to be specifically the UEFA Youth League or the Premier League 2. I feel like they should just be league games or even just random games that pop up in the calendar that you can just play occasionally. The Youth Scout reports is the complete same, although I would like to be able to send more than one scout to a single nation. I don't know why we can't do that. Youth staff, why can't we upgrade them? Like how quickly the academy products grow, that should be based on how good the staff are. So that should be something, again, you can put the money in and invest in if you want to. Youth development plans is the same. Youth results as well, so you can just look back on how your team's done. If you don't want to play youth games, which I think should be 11 versus 11 by the way, you should be able to just have them simulate in the background of your calendar. Why can't you go and check and see how your team's doing, how many goals your team has? With the youth squad, I feel like it should be an actual squad hub where you can see their development, you can see how many goals they've scored in the youth leagues. It's something that will give you a real reason to think about calling them up. And finally, in the customize section, edit manager and settings is the same, but we've got the database editor, which I've made a video on already. So I would recommend go checking that out on my channel, but I'll put the concepts in here in a moment. Well, here we've got the team management section. I just think this looks way nicer, to be honest. With, again, the stadium in the background, we've got Barcelona. This is how it should look, where you've got a formation in possession and out of possession. As you can see at the bottom, you can edit the position of a player, you can drag them in and out wherever you want, and you can switch between your formation in possession and out of possession here with the Y button. You've also got like instructions, so you can set specific instructions for players, not just be stuck with the player roles that we have currently. Also, team chemistry is on here as well, so if players have played a certain amount of games with each other, they'll build chemistry. If you just chuck in a load of players into a team who have never played with each other, or if they're out of position, the chemistry should go down. So that's something I've got here in this concept. Next up here, we've got the same menu, basically missing a few things like transfers for obvious reasons, but this is for the international management. Again, you can see the stadium in the background. You've got messages coming in from players who haven't been called up to the squad. Again, you should have a relationship with all the players that you're coming in and out of the squads every international break. You've also got on social media here, again, another Easter egg, San Marino winning in the Nations League. So again, that just implies how more in depth I think international football should be. Here we've got the menu before you go into a match. I just think, again, it looks better. You can see everything on one screen, the predicted lineups, you've got all the different things on the side here. And in the background, you can see the dressing room, basically like pro clubs. So I think this just looks a little bit better. Now let's look on the transfer hub and squad hub side of things. Now I've made a stat tracking video already, so I won't talk too much about these points and also the database editor. So we'll go through them really quickly though. As you can see here in the squad hub, you've got more things at the top. So you can check the development history of a player and also their career, basically the development, which we'll talk about in a moment. But here you've got a few more options. You can set an asking price for a player. You can add them to the transfer and the loan list at the same time. You can obviously chat with the player, which I mentioned before. You can relegate them to the youth team, which I mentioned again before, and offer them to another club. And here there's just a bit more information. You can see which clubs are interested in the player. There's a realistic contract that Marcus Rashford has in real life. As you can see here, an asking price has been set to make it easier to sell him. Then when we go over to the transfer hub, again, you can see a few more things. You can see the contract if you've scouted the player. You've got like overall ranges here as well. So instead of a question mark, you should be able to see like a range in which the overall a player has. The interested clubs, how interested the player is, also their stats for that season. I think this shouldn't be too hard to put into the game for a little bit of depth. And when we talk about the career side of things, this is what I mean, where there's a history of the clubs that the players played for. Also, you know, how many trophies they've won and things like that should also be in the game. But again, you can see like Marcus Rashford, who he's played for. On the development side of things, you can see like a graph of how quickly the players grow in, whether their potential's gone up or down, and whether they're on track to get to that potential. This was something that was in PES previously. And also in terms of the stats, as you can see with Christopher Nkunku, you can see all his stats from this season. You can change the competition or the season, so you can look back at previous season. You can look at his club record, his international record, anything that you want. I feel like that should be in the game. I spoke about a database editor in the game, and this for me would just change the game. Obviously we can edit players already, but I wish you can edit everything about a player in career mode. Like even their stats, it wouldn't break the game because it's offline. I feel like that option to fix unrealistic player growth, that would be good, or just to add different scenarios into the game. Player transfers, again, transfer players amongst different clubs, fix some of the unrealistic transfers in the game, edit managers, manager transfers, edit teams like budgets as well. That again, they're not realistic in the game. I feel like you should be able to adjust those yourself. Also give teams financial takeovers or make them bankrupt. Again, it would be good for scenarios. Looking at the edit player side of things here, I've changed it a little bit. It means that you've got a quick edit feature on the side here. So instead of going through every single attribute of a player to give them the right rating that you want, it means that you can just quickly in the menu scroll through, adjust their overall, their potential, their position, and the stats will auto adjust for you. That option would make things so much easier. When it comes to the player transfer side of things, similar to what you can do in the main menu of FC25 before a career mode, you can swap players around different clubs. This would have the same thing in career mode. This would fix any unrealistic transfers that you see in your save. You can also create your own scenarios if you want to as well, or also update transfers that have happened in real life that you want to replicate in the save that you've made maybe before that point. But with this, it gives you a few more options. It means that you can do permanent or loan transfers. Loan transfers aren't something that you can do in the game currently. You can set a fee for that transfer, so that will affect the budget of the club that are buying and selling the player. And then you can also adjust their contracts as well, how many years they've got, what their wages are. So again, this would also work for players in the game who have got unrealistic contracts. So all those Man United overpaid players like Mount, Maguire, Sancho, you can give them the wages that they have in real life, as you can with the Saudi League players as well. You can give them the multi-million-pound a week contracts that they have currently that aren't in FC25. I slightly redesigned transfer and contract negotiation cutscenes as well. As you can see here, there's a little bit of a more different layout. You've got Wesley here, who we're going to put a transfer offer in for Barcelona. Again, a little Easter egg. He's a player that's not in the game because of the Brazilian league not being there. But you've got a bit more information on the left-hand side there, a realistic contract. But as you can see here for the transfers, there's not too many changes. But there's a few more options for add-ons. You can loan the player back to the seller as well, which is something that's common, especially with young players. A lot of teams, they'll buy a player, but if they're not going to play straight away, they can just loan them straight back to the team that they're buying them from. You've also got buyback options as well. If you look here for a loan offer for Jadon Sancho, you can offer a loan fee. Again, this isn't in the game currently. You can also set obligation to buy and recall options as well. But the contract side of things is where I think there's a bit more depth. Now, rather than doing offers step by step, in particular for contracts where you've got to agree on the length of the contract, then the wage, then the release clause, etc., This is something that you can send all in once. There's a bit more versatility with this deal. If you can't agree on the amount of years that you want the player to sign for, you can always offer a bigger wage or better terms in another part of that contract to help the deal through. But this also includes a release clause in the event of things happening in your save. Also, like contract lengths, it's not on the concept here, but I think you should be allowed to do 7 and 8 year contracts. That's happening in real life currently. Also 6-month contracts. Again, these short-term deals happen sometimes in real life. And also like wage clauses, so potentially a wage increasing or decreasing depending on what happens at your club. And finally, with Manager Career Mode, I also created this concept regarding the search engine. Now this is the most recent one that I've done, but here you've just got a few more options. You've got a tick box function, so you can search for multiple leagues, multiple clubs, multiple positions, nationalities all at once to make things a bit easier rather than doing multiple searches to do different filters. You also got some more options to search for example, height and the stronger foot of the player. I think these are quite important to picking a player sometimes. Also the contract length of a player. Why can't we search for players who have got their deals running down? You can do this in the scouting side of the game, but not when you're searching for a player. But I feel like that should be something you can do. But also here, searching for the overall potential of a player. Now again, you can't do this even if scouting is off in the game, but I think this should be an option if you have scouting switched on in your save. And I'll tell you how this will work. So obviously you won't be able to get the overalls straight away for players if they're not scouted, but I don't get why we don't get like a range like I mentioned earlier in the video, where you can see maybe a player is between 60 and 70 rated overall. That means they could be 61 rated, they could be 68 rated, they could be anything in between. So why, if we set this overall setting here, if I'm searching for, let's say, somebody who's in the 60s or 70s plus, why can't it just filter out all the players who have got ranges that don't go up to 60? So any players with a range of 50 to 55, for example, they get filtered out completely. I feel like this, again, it might not filter out all the players that fit your criteria, but it might at least narrow things down and make it a bit easier for you, whilst also not revealing all the overalls of players straight away. It'll keep that scouting element still in the game. But yeah, those are all the manager concepts that I'm going to talk about in this video. There are more that I'm going to cover, but I thought this would be an interesting video to make, just breaking down all of the different things that I've made over the last couple of months and posted on X and covered in my YouTube videos already. Let me know in the comments what you think of them, what sort of features you'd like. Also, if there's any concepts that you want me to make regarding FC26 Career Mode, let me know. I'm happy to take any requests and ideas and things. But for sure, if this video gets good feedback, I'll make another one regarding player career and anything else that I've made. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a thumbs up. It'll really help the channel out. Also subscribe if you haven't already. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers as my first target. We're over halfway there. And if you are new to the channel, feel free to check out any of the other videos that I've got out there. Like I say, subscribe, because there's a chance if you leave this video that my channel might not come up again. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure that you're in the loop of what I'm creating next. But yeah, thank you again for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.